Hello and welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Rrain and our guest today is Jeff Desender, well known around town as a musician and music producer, here today to talk about the second annual Sober Social.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
No, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Let's start in with, this is the second annual. There was a first Sober Social last year. How did that go?
To us, it went really, really well, especially in a small town, because there's a certain stigma kind of in smaller communities that follows those type of topics, right?
Yeah.
So that we weren't sure how it was going to take, but we had a really good turnout at Arts Forward,
Yeah.
and we raised some money to go towards a local initiative here for like Miles for Mental Health.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone come out and had a great time with mocktails and the live bands, and everybody was dancing. There was kids of all ages dancing, and then there was adults dancing, and it was just an enjoyable evening all around.
So what sort of activities are going on? We know there was, obviously music, dancing for social, but there was also some information and things available there, right?
Yes, there was. Yeah, there was informational materials from numerous different mental health initiatives. So in mental health, mostly focusing on the topics of like trauma and addictions, as well as just your standard depression, anxiety, bipolar manic depression, stuff like that, right?
Right.
So then there was different avenues that you could contact for supports or just help or guidance in a certain aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
or just group conversation.
Right. And that was was it last summer?
It was last June.
It was last June, okay.
Yeah.
And so coming up on this is one is going to be in June again this year?
June 7th, yeah.
Okay, and that's as it Arts Forward again. Do you have a new location?
We switched over to the Neepawa Legion, actually.
Okay.
It's going to be upstairs there. And we've got a few additions for this year. So then we needed a little bit bigger of a layout.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Arts Forward is perfect for your
yeah.
smaller stuff, right? But when you need kind of that capacity to allow for tables and a bunch of other stuff for informational stuff,
Yeah.
then it becomes
We kind of have three tiers of sizes here. There's like Arts Forward or a church hall. There's Legion, then once you get bigger than that, you're kind of going to the Yellowhead.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you go to the big hall at the end of the street. Right?
Yeah. So then what is new this year?
We added actually an extra hour to the event, so then there'll be an extra performer that's on top of that. We also, this year, we are trying out a awards-based program in it.
Okay.
So then there'll be a trophy for whoever gets nominated, which we're currently running right now.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's, we call it like a mental health advocate of the year.
Yeah.
So then it's someone who doesn't work in mental health, but on their personal time, that's all they really focus on, right? Like
Okay.
they go out of their way to help those who need it and everything else. So that's where the nominations come from. We do have a few in, so it's showing that it's working really well.
Yeah.
So then if there is any viewers, anybody that wants to nominate anyone.
Yeah, how do they do that if they want to nominate someone?
Basically, they send us an email at frozenfirestudios@outlook.com with the name on the subject line and just tell us why you're nominating them.
Okay, and that's all there is to it.
And that's all there is to it. And then we do the rest behind the scenes, and then after that, there'll be a finalist kind of category that everybody votes on, and the person with the highest number of votes at the end of it receives an award at the Sober Social.
Nice. And it's also nice just to recognize everyone who's doing that kind of work, especially on a volunteer basis.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Now, are you, again this year, is there going to be sort of a informational area or availability of information for people attending?
There absolutely is. Yeah. So there'll be stuff from Addictions Foundation of Manitoba, Prairie Mountain Health, a couple other local initiatives that are going to have stuff on display, as well as the exciting part, because I've got the luxury of getting to know them really well, is the Sober Bar, like Club 1202, that's based out of Brandon. They're going to have some stuff there, so you can kind of see what they're about and what they promote and stand for and do. And so it'll be quite exciting to see, it getting a little bit bigger. It's not just small town anymore. It's starting to kind of raise that awareness of it outside of our community as well, and bring them into our town. Yeah. To see what we have here.
Because there aren't necessarily a lot of events like this throughout West or throughout rural Manitoba, I would think.
No, there really isn't. There's good friend of mine that he was running Sober House series, which is kind of like a sober house party.
Yeah.
That live bands, everything, similar kind of concept. And then there's us that does the Sober Social, and I haven't come across any of the other ones.
Yeah, and
Right,
certainly
so-
they would be coming out of the woodwork at this point, with especially within Brandon, there being a point of convergence, I guess.
Yeah, you would think you'd come across them at
Yeah.
some point. Yeah.
You said it's running longer this year, so what hours is it running this year?
We're shooting for 6 till midnight
Oh, wow, okay.
this year. So we found last year that there was quite a few people that on their way out the door, they're like, this is an incredible event. They're like, but Jeff, like, you're a rocker. Why is it so early? So then we kind of took that in consideration this year. And then it was like, Kate, well, the only way we really can turn this up to 11 is we got to increase the hours, add another artist.
Yeah. I
And
mean, if
see
it's a
what we can
Manitoba
do,
social,
right?
you got to have it going later.
Well,
And you got to
exactly.
have some food come out around 11. That's
Kind of what we were
Yeah.
thinking, whether it's chips or whatever,
Yep.
right? But
you got to get
something
your
that-
meat tray out. That's the
Yeah, that's
That's
what
the
we're
tradition,
shooting for.
right?
Yep.
so you mentioned the last one, everyone, lots of kids up and dancing. So is it an all ages event?
It is 110% all
Yeah.
ages. And the only reason really I focus so much on the all ages is I've had lots of friends that have had these struggles and stuff. And once they got sober, there wasn't a lot they could do with their kids in terms of live music. And they were huge music enthusiasts, right?
Yeah.
So then you add that all ages factor. Well, it's inspirational to kids to
Yeah.
see, like these people have come from rough beginnings or
Yeah.
all walks of life. They can see these guys doing their thing, right? And then the parents can join them
Yeah.
because you're no longer in a bar or you're not in the traditional places where
Yeah.
live music happens. You're somewhere where you can sit there and enjoy a mocktail with your son or your daughter or whatever and just take it all in.
And I would think also that there are people under 18 who do struggle with the same issues.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We come across quite a few of them all
Yeah.
the time where they're conflicted with different avenues of life and stuff, and
Yeah.
they think that's the easiest way to turn to. And little do they realize is there's people that can help them
Yeah.
with that, right? Rather it's just someone on the street or someone sitting in an office that does it for a living with a degree, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many different people out there that can assist them.
And a lot of the materials and the concept behind this is to do with addiction. But
Yeah.
it's not exclusive to that.
No,
Certainly,
it spans
yeah.
past it. Addiction, we like to add in there because a lot of us on the committee have dealt with it firsthand. We've single-handedly done it. We've all taken different channels to achieve our sobriety in one way
Yeah.
or another. But there is a multitude of avenues people can utilize for sobriety and to achieve the best mental wellness you possibly can for what you intend to do, right? And that's pretty much what the entire event is built on, is giving you those platforms to know, okay, well, I can go to this or I can go to this,
Yeah.
or I don't want to, kind of jump into an office and feel kind of weirded out because it's one-on-one with somebody else. I want
Yeah.
to go into a group of people and discuss my story because you're
Yeah.
more comfortable now that there's a variety of people sharing their story, right?
Yeah.
And it's knowing where to go and what people can help you get there.
Yeah. And certainly I think it would feel welcoming to anyone who simply wants to have an evening out without alcohol, without drunk people around them.
Well, exactly. And
Yeah.
and I'm finding more and more in my travels, rather it's as a musician, a business owner, or even, kind of the creator of the Sober Social, I'm finding more and more that a lot of people, they would prefer to sit there and drink a smoothie and watch everyone else have a great time.
You had
and
me
have
at
a great,
smoothie, honestly.
right?
So
Yeah, and have a great time themselves without having to deal with, drinks getting spilt on you or the other indecent behaviors that happen when you add alcohol to the equation. You eliminate all that. So it's literally just a fun, safe area that you can have a great time, be yourself, and enjoy it.
And even if they go to the bar every other weekend, this is just something different, a different environment to be in.
Well, exactly. And I mean, my background, I always get the jokes every year when we do like Sober Social events or we attend sobriety-based events where it's just like, Jeff, where's the beer? Bar 2 blocks down.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but it's just a joke because of
Yeah.
background, being in the music scene. Everyone kind of,
Well,
as soon
that's
as
just
music
it
comes
too.
in.
There's this like correlation between the two things
Yeah.
in the cultural consciousness. And you're sort of separating them, saying we can have this raucous music party without this.
Well, exactly. We don't need the alcohol to do what we do. We don't need
Yeah.
the drugs to do what we do. It's just a case of it. Most tend to fall to that lifestyle. But little do people realize is that lifestyle is a lot more hectic than just playing music on a stage, right? So they fall because their mental health falls.
Yeah.
Not so much the music. It's just
Yeah.
And we've come with like my band and some of the artists that we worked with in the last little while with these sober events. We have found some of the most amazing songs have come from people that have been into what we like to call a darkness,
Yeah.
and they wrote about it,
Yeah.
and their songs are based on it, right? And it seems to really resound with people because now they're understanding what they have gone through to be where they are,
Yeah.
right? So that's the type of stuff you find at the Sober Social too, is because a lot of the artists that play there, they've got some form of sobriety or some form of understanding
Yeah.
with mental health. We don't just pick a bunch of artists at
Right.
random.
Yeah.
We actually look at, okay, well, they've dealt with this. They got songs that can,
Yeah.
speak
They
to
understand the
this.
kind of event they're coming to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not walking in and going, well, I can't get a beer. I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're not doing that. They're playing to kind of showcase exactly what we're trying to put across from the music side. And they love being a part of it. Like we have a returning artist this year that loved nothing more. The minute I mentioned it to him, he's just, sign me up, no deposit, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's right into it. We've got a couple of guys that my band has moved around with that they're coming to play this year's event. They've never actually played in Neepawa anything before.
And these are professional artists who are coming in and playing. This is
These are guys that we actively move around Westman and perform, right? We do try to keep that local standpoint as well. So like there is a local act that'll be there.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to back another phenomenal vocalist from the area.
Yeah.
That's going to be there as well. And that's going to be her band.
Fantastic. Yeah.
But it's all locals, right? And then my band, being we had some issues last year, we're back this year, and we plan on putting on a heck of a show to make up for not being here last year, right? So it's kind of that concept that you're walking into. So then like artist lineup, you have Jessica Lukin that's performing with Longshot. You have Longshot directly after that. And then like my band's good friends Beanie is coming along, and they're a duo from the Portage area. And then you have my band that's performing,
which is
Midnight Renegade.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then from there you've got Matt Corey and Cy Arthurson. He was here last year with his other band Vertigo.
Right. Okay.
And he's coming back this year because he's that passionate about what it stands for, right?
Yeah.
It's creating that separation between alcohol and music need to be together. And that's kind of why we think he's so adamant being involved.
Yeah.
Is because, well, he's an award-winning artist, everything else, right? So he's got a lot of things he could be doing right now, but he'd much rather be in Neepawa chilling with us to prove that point, right? So there's going to be a lot of surprises throughout the evening and great performances.
Yeah, I know some of these musicians, so absolutely.
Yeah, no, it'll be good.
And do you find bringing musicians, like a number of musicians in a lineup together like this, at an event like this, you get those collaborations going on, whether it's performance, whether it's songwriting, that kind of thing?
Yeah, you tend to. Like we've got one guy that actually our vocalist really, really likes. He's coming this year, and it's Victor Chiarella. Robert Andreas wanted to come back, but he's actually a direct recommendation from Robert Andreas, right? Because a lot of people liked Robert's style and stuff. If they attended last year, he's very blues-based, so like B.B. King, stuff like that, right? So if you're a blues lover, he's the guy you're ultimately going to want to see, because he's just a really good Winnipeg-based blues artist, and he plays with like bands. Well, one for example you would have known that played last year was Chris Guidoni, right? So like he goes in those circles with people. So he's coming as well this year to perform. That's kind of one of our surprise artists. Is we are bringing the blues. Yeah, not anymore. But we are bringing the blues back. So we're trying to make it as diverse in the genre
Well, I was going to say,
standpoint.
there is a broad spectrum of musical kind of genres that are going to be coming.
And that's what we try to shoot for when we build the bills for shows like this, is
Yeah.
you can see that it doesn't matter what genre they're in.
Yeah.
Music is a community, and that community can expand in one way or another to create, the perfect kind of bill for the event it's based for.
Is there a recipient this year for the event?
Yes.
Or is that something you're thinking about still?
No, we decided that very early on.
Okay.
I kind of sat back and was thinking the last few years, we've got a gold sponsor that has been very supportive over the last few years, just due to an unfortunate suicide in the area that was a very meaningful person to a lot of people in the community. So when I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, Neepawa's kind of been nailed with unfortunate suicides and stuff like that in the last few years. So we need to do something to bring to light that it is not forgotten, and these people never will be either, right? So then we chose this year to go with Westman Mental Wellness and Suicide Prevention, because their efforts towards suicide prevention is huge, because they constantly are diving in to try to raise awareness to it, help and support in any way possible for anyone that may think someone's going through something like that, like suicide ideation, stuff like that. And they push to raise money for all they can do for suicide prevention.
And we actually had a chance to speak to them last year, so we sort of have an idea of what they're about.
Yeah. So, and they were there last year. Their entire committee, full force, was there last year. Very huge supporters of what our initiative does and what we're trying to push for. So then we had figured, we really don't have a suicide prevention based initiative here. We've got like mental health and men's health, farmers, stuff like that, but we got nothing really to focus on what has been the unfortunate history for Neepawa over the last
We've
few
had
years.
a rough few years, honestly.
So then that's where we kind of based our decision on. We need to kind of get behind and start pushing at topics that are close to home, right? And mental health, well, it falls into that. So like their mental wellness, they do barbecues and fundraisers and walks for mental health, and they do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So then we had thought, okay, Miles for Mental Health got it last year. Let's move to focusing suicide prevention. And then for the third annual, we'll kind of gauge what's happening locally and around Westman, and kind of decide where do we want to put these
see what happens at the event this year, see who's there and what kind of comes up.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. So what to you, and we've kind of touched on this throughout our conversation, is the importance of having a sober social?
To me, it is showcasing that no matter what you do, you don't need synthetics to have a good time. Right? That's what it is to me.
That's why you founded it. That's why.
Exactly. Right? Because I come from a troubled background, which is going to take a lot more than half an hour, so we won't get into that. But, and that was the biggest thing I found with a lot of my friends, the people that got sober with me, the ones that supported me. They're pretty much all musicians in one way or another, or creatives, right? Like artists and stuff like that. So when we sit back and we look, we always thought, well, no, to be a musician, you had to drink, you had to party. It's the life, right? That's what it's all about. Or the stick it to the man, as some of the old school rockers like to call it. And we had always thought, well, no, there's got to be a better way to do this, to have fun, still put our music out there, still have our stories heard, and have people enjoy the time they have. So then therein started the old hamster running through the wheel, and Sober Social kind of came to fruition. And then I put a team behind me that is absolutely phenomenal, and they've dealt with it in multiple different aspects, from mental health standpoint or addiction standpoint. And we're all creatives on that board too. So we completely understand if you're a painter, the struggles the painters go through, or sculptors, anything like that. And then you've got like your vinyl creators and kind of your digital design based people. We have members like that on the committee. And then you have musicians like myself on the committee. And then you have people that, are just moms and dads and
Yeah.
standard people in society that, you know, they've dealt with kids with special needs or anything like that, because it all factors on someone's mental well-being.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing to note too, is this is while you are sort of the originator of this event, there is a committee behind this from people from a variety of backgrounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely there is. Yeah. We even took on 2 extra members this year. One is actually from Carberry, Manitoba, and the other is actually from Elton, so like Forest area near Brandon, that jumped on, and she used to actually be actively involved with it'd be similar to like Prairie Mountain Health, so more of like a government regulated
RHA kind of
thing. She was very much involved in that. She kind of loved what we stood for, what it was about, what it's meant to do, and jumped on board the minute we had that meeting. Like, I think I said 2 words and she's just like, where do I sign?
So you've really been seeing a lot of sort of community investment in having this type of event here, like.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, Neepawa is home to me, so as far as I'm concerned, it's that event will always be known for the location and the people that attend it.
Yeah.
Right? So I will always keep it here, because to me I want people to come to the town. I want people to see, like, this is where I grew up. There's certain elements of it that help me get to be who I am, because it's your small town, country minded kind of community, right? So then in that census, it's go down, check out Riverbend Park. I walked down there as a kid, played my guitar sitting on that bridge for years while I obtained sobriety, right? That was my go-to. You got people that Park Lake, or the Bird Sanctuary, as it's known now, there's people that have huge mental health influence just from that place alone, right? And it's, you go check out all these places and you'll see exactly why we put it here. Like, we are a small town with the luxury of having these things here.
And it doesn't hurt that we're sort of conveniently located as far as central Manitoba and West Bend goes.
Right? Like, we have people from Brandon and all over West Bend coming here, or driving through.
From Portage or Winnipeg coming coming right through here.
All the time.
So I asked you about sort of the pop culture notion and divorcing the music from the sort of addiction lifestyle that is sort of pervasive in pop culture. But we didn't talk as much about the influence of art, producing art, whether it is, visual arts or music, as in your case, on mental health. Like, just the sheer production of it for the performance standpoint. What is the intersection there?
Like, you mean in a sense of how does it correlate with each other?
Like, how does the actual production of art, of music, of performing affect your mental health?
In a sense, it's really nerve-wracking, because you're wearing your heart on your sleeve to try to generalize something that is so hard to generalize. Like, if you gone through addiction struggles, you would know writing a song about addiction to generalize, to kind of tell a story but not exactly point fingers or anything that's kind of an inspirational, like, get up, you can do this, you're all right kind of thing. It's taxing and very nerve-wracking, and you'll never meet an artist that'll tell you he's not nervous or shaky the minute he's standing up there and there's tons of people in the crowd, right? And that's where a lot of the drinking side tends to come in, is because people seem to have this idea that if you take that shot of whiskey or shot of tequila or vodka,
they call it a shot of courage,
right? And that's exactly what it is, right? Liquid courage. So at that point, they seem to think that it dulls the nerve. When really, in reality, no, it really is not doing anything for you. It's making you more lightheaded, and technically you're just shaking to the point you're not even noticing anymore. Right? As for when you're not performing in front of people, it's kind of this euphoric feeling of, you have this group of people you can sit down with, you can be yourself with, and you can just literally, in a sense, put your heart on the table. They all understand it, they feel it. Now your instrumentals get pouring out, and there's heart that's pouring out in it. Your words all come together, and that energy that everybody feels is that direct connection coming from how everybody just kind of went together
Yeah.
as a unit to create what you're hearing, right? And I find that to be one of the most solid things in the connection between mental health and music, like
Yeah.
in kind of that performing aspect, is because it's, for example, I'll use my band. For example, we were told actually the last performance we did 2 weeks ago that they were blown away on the energy radiating off of us on our songs because of the fact we wrote them together. So we did the instrumentals together. There was not a single point in time that the four of us were not side by side with that. And even, you know, if it was a hard topic for one, we picked them up, we held them up, we continued to be like, we got to do this, right? Like we got to finish this song and put your heart in it, man, right? And that's also what's gotten us, you know, like award nominations, everything else is because of that. You're a family now.
Yeah.
And you just have that creative ability to help hold each other up to perform.
Yeah.
So it's, you see, for example, Mitch and I out by ourselves, we're nervous. You put the other two guys with us, you'd never even tell that we're nervous because
Yeah.
we have the whole group together, right? And that mental health connection becomes 4 people,
You're bolstering
just
each
2.
other. Yeah.
right? We hold each other up, right? So you really don't have to focus too much. You don't need the liquid courage. You don't need any of that because
Yeah.
you've got your family with you up there now, right?
Well, our time is actually running short, believe it or not. Do you have any final thoughts about the event that you want to make sure gets out there today?
We currently are still in sponsor stage, so if it's something you folks want to stand behind, we have 3 different sponsor packages, and they all have different kind of perks and stuff
Okay.
that come with them. You're more than welcome to reach out to us at our email at frozenfirestudios@outlook.com, and we can kind of walk you through on what those tiers are, what each one of them has.
Okay.
And also be sure to send us your nominations.
Of course, yes. And attend.
And attend it.
And come.
Definitely attend it.
So again, June 7th?
June 7th at the Royal Canadian Legion number 23 here in Neepawa. And
Okay.
it's $10 a ticket.
And starts at 6 p.m.?
It starts at 6 p.m. and goes till midnight, and bring your party hat and enjoy the music.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me.
Not a problem at all. Anytime.
And thank all of you for joining us today as well. We'll see you again next time.